Welcome back everyone. Just another stream of an Adventuron adventure. For those of you that don't know, it's an adventure authoring tool which allows you to write adventures, text adventures in either they look modern or you can make them look like 16-bit or 8-bit adventures from like back in the day. So the one we're going to look at today is one that I played way back a couple of years ago, which was actually the first full Adventuron game that I saw, and it's called Escape from Dinosaur Island by Richard Pettigrew, and this is a slightly updated version by Chris Ainsley, who's added I think a different font or different character set, slightly upgraded graphics, and a kind of like a help system if you're you know, a real beginner at playing adventures. So if I just bring the screen up, so if I just show you so there's links in the description as to where you can see this, where you can play it. Essentially it's not running on a Spectrum, which it can do, or at least Adventuron can. This is running in a browser, so the link's in the description. Yeah, so it's Escape from Dinosaur Island. This is a DX version. You can see it's a remaster of Escape from Dinosaur Island. It was entered into the IF Comp 2018. It is one of the earliest fully completed Adventuron games, and it was written on an earlier version of the engine. So you see there also the Text Adventure Literacy Project, TALP, which you can look at what that is, but basically it's kind of a scheme that allows newbies to get used to playing adventures. You know, the vocabulary they need, the way of thinking you need, the vocabulary, that kind of thing. So it shows you the new features. It's got location graphics. There's improved parser and initial responses, probably from the original playthrough, people's comments and stuff they've noticed after it was released. So yeah, there is a solution as well. And also, which is quite interesting, is there's also the source code. So this is the code that you would do to create something like the game we're actually going to play in a second. So yeah, it's used in conjunction with the Adventuron Classroom, which you can see more information at that location there, so adventuron.io, and also there's a tutorial on YouTube if you fancy kind of looking into it more in depth. And believe me, I've used it and it is dead easy. In fact, the adventure that I started well, probably a couple of years ago now, I've not actually ever, well, I never got to the end of it, because it was one of those things where I was designing it as I went along and the locations just got out of hand. Well, I actually got married in the interim, so obviously that affected it, but development got so out of hand that I couldn't think of a cohesive story. It just went, I had a story at the beginning, but then it just blew out of all proportion. So what I might do is actually cut it down to the bit where it makes a coherent story, maybe call it part 1 and put it up somewhere, or I'll do a playthrough and just see what you think. But yeah, that was called the Fragments, and work with you know, through the tutorials, dead easy to put together locations and logic and puzzles. I think a lot of it is actually designing it from start to end, so you know exactly what the locations will be, or well, you know what the start, the middle and the end will be. So it's probably like writing a book to some extent. Yeah, I had the beginning, bit of the middle but none of the end. So yeah, it was called the Fragments, and it was like almost like a time travel kind of parallel universe, Twilight Zone kind of thing. So yeah, I'll probably do a playthrough at the beginning of that just to give you another flavour of what the adventures can look like and what you can do within them. Anyway, so the source code, yeah, you can see you've got game information, so like metadata, you've got your locations, give it a name, give it a text, and tell it what graphic you want. So you'll see here, we're going to see some of this, so we'll see halfway up the volcano, sandy beach, what else have we got, a wrecked basket, that kind of thing. So these locations are standalone and they all link together using the connections area. So from halfway up the volcano you can go up and that takes you to the volcano, which is another location, and inherently because of that, from the volcano you can go down to halfway up the volcano. So that's why you don't see the volcano here. So that's the connections for the locations. Then the vocabulary is where you've got verbs and nouns. So if you want to like punch something or lick something, that would be a verb here. And then a noun is like an object, or an object. So here you've got mud and patch. You've got pool, lagoon, and lagoon, and that's for ease of use. So somebody might think, oh, it says pool, so I'll use pool, but then it might also reference that bit of water as a lagoon. So you've got the option of making aliases. Then you've got objects. So this is stuff you can pick up, drop, carry around with you. So these are things that you can, physical objects you can pick up and interact with. So you've got an egg, for example, or driftwood. These are objects that are interactable, but aren't actually, you can't actually pick them up. So for example, an altar, that would be pretty big to pick up, but it's something that is interactable within the adventure, and that has actually got a start at location. So you see the altar in the shrine, that's where it starts, the beginning of the adventure. Well, that's where it appears. Variables, these are booleans or booleans, so true or false. So there's a boolean for legs free, and that will switch to true once you, I guess, free your legs from something. So that's a way of controlling what's happened, what the player's done, and what can be done in the future based on the checking the logic of those. And then we've got integers, like raptor hunt, raptor kill, a random, a variable to store a random number, I guess, and objects carried to check how many objects you've got, or at least something to do with the objects you're carrying. So once the engine starts, the game engine, it initializes and it does all this stuff. I won't go into any of this, but you can see it's got like press any key, clear screen, print some text, that kind of thing. And then on command is the bit where you get the prompt and then you can type something in. So here it's matching whatever the user's typed in, or checking whatever the user's typed in, and it will say, so if you've got a recipe and the user types examine recipe or read recipe and is present the recipe, that means that you're carrying all the recipes there, you're carrying the recipe, or the recipe is actually physically in that location. Then it will print that information, that text there, and then it will set true as read receipt. So that's probably a boolean variable that can be set to true. and then done. And then there's other things here that it matches, so you examine something, it prints something. It also can do sound else. Oh yeah, because it's the first time you do it, you find a metal bar when you examine the wreckage, so it has to check for that. And then once the metal bar is created, the next time you try it, the metal bar has been created, so that will be false, and it will go down to that part of the code. So okay, this is all documented as well. There's a lot of documentation for within the editor for Adventuron, and the demonstration adventure is really small, and it shows you pretty much everything you need to know. Dead easy. Okay, so you can see the gumph of the adventure is the logic that goes behind what somebody types in and the variables and where they've been. So okay, so I won't look at that too much because there's obviously spoilers in there, because this is the code that goes to compile the game that we're actually going to play now. So if we switch back to the game, go here. So again, it's itch.io, the Adventuron page. It says restore game, but in essence I clicked on it once just to make sure it would work, but you run the game from here. Comes up with an 8-bit-esque title screen. So sound effects, I'll put no. They do get on my wick a bit, but they are good to get that 8-bit essence where they, you know, on the 8-bits they had the bleeper making sounds when you found something or there's some danger or something. So allow sound effects, no. So yeah, created using Adventuron Classroom, a web browser based text adventure authoring system. And it is, Classroom is one of the easiest ways to learn code, regardless of what you want to code. It's really good for getting you thinking logically and to design something that you will then put together as code, and then ultimately you see your final creation you can play. It's fantastic, it really is. Yeah, publish your game on 8-bit platforms, mobile, yeah, works with mobile brilliantly, tablets, web and more. Join the fun today. So some credits there. Oh, it's got a loading screen by Sean McClure, font by Andy Bullhack. Font's really good actually. It reminds me of, what does that remind me of? It's not the 64, it's not the Spectrum. Is it the BBC a bit? Does it look a bit like the BBC? Okay, press return. Oh, I think I've just missed. I just pressed it twice, so okay. Once you've started, you can quit. Yes, we'd like to forfeit the game. So we've quit the game, gone back to the beginning. So I'll just go back to that page. Right, welcome to Dinosaur Island. You're enjoying the scenery whilst idly drifting through the sky in your hot air balloon. Without warning, the sky turned grey and hurricane winds started to throw the balloon around. You tried your best to take the balloon down to safety, but the storm had other ideas. The balloon in free fall, you decide to sit as low as you can in the basket and hold on for your dear life. After passing out from being thrown around the basket, you are eventually awoken by the impact of the basket smashing into a large tree and crashing to the ground. You have no idea where you are. What you do know is that something doesn't feel quite right about this place and that you need to find a way home, and fast. So that's setting the scene up. We've basically crashed onto an island. Probably not the Lost Island, but somewhere just as weird. And we've got to escape. So press a key. Okay, so it's a wrecked basket. You are laid in an upturned crashed hot air balloon basket. You're going to need to find a way to climb out of here somehow. So items here, gas cylinder and wreckage. Oh dear, it appears your legs are trapped under the heavy cylinder, they won't budge. That's where the variable comes in for legs trapped. So that's currently, well, legs free, so it's currently false. Tutorial, so this is the extra bit that was added, or one of them. Type examine wreckage to see if there is something that can help you. Well, basically, if you're in an adventure and you're in a new location, you examine everything. So, examine cylinder. It's a very heavy metal cylinder that used to hold the fuel for the balloon. It is currently laid across your legs, preventing you from climbing out of the balloon. If only you had something to lever it off you. So I'll do what the tutorial says, examine wreckage. You find something. Okay, so it really is talking us through it. Just wondered if we can do tutorial off. No, okay, so I'm not sure we can turn that off. L for look. Okay, so we found the metal bar. So get the bar, examine it. Okay, so it's long enough to provide some great leverage. So if we lever cylinder, you jam the metal bar under the gas cylinder and use it to lever it off your legs. You're laid in an upturned crashed hot air balloon. You're going to need to find a way out. Okay, so we're no longer trapped. I've got a feeling if we climb out, that'll be okay now, but before it would say that we're trapped under. So it would have stopped us. So we've solved one puzzle now. These adventures normally have a score. Okay, so in this instant there isn't, and I don't see anything at the top to show us what score we've got. Okay, so maybe there isn't a score in this one. So let's just type help. So that's good. So type help in adventures as well. You get the north, south, east, west directions. You can load and save. Every item can be examined, and it gives you, sometimes gives you a clue to its usage. And you can do I for inventory, look, or L to re-describe the current location. Got a few other verbs that are useful. Yeah, this is quite important. The whole adventure is a puzzle you need to explore, to draw a map and to record the various objects that you find. There are plenty of clues, and don't forget to try and combine objects together to make new ones. So make is a verb that we'll be able to use. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's like reading a novel. You know, we're probably not going to finish this in one sitting. And I kind of wanted to give you an introduction to the code as well, so you can maybe look at the code, see how the logic works as you're playing the adventure. Kind of flip backwards and forwards. So okay, so we're in the wreck basket. We've levered the cylinder off. I for inventory. Okay, we've got the metal bar. So I'm guessing the adventure's telling us to climb out. You slowly pull yourself off the floor, push the basket over and climb out into the great unknown. Time to explore the island. Type or click directions. Yep, you can click these as well. It works in the browser, but I'm old school, I prefer typing. But when you're on a mobile, sometimes typing is a bit crap, just because that's what it is. It's a small, small gadget. So you can click anything that is clickable. So directions are clickable, which is a really useful thing. Okay, so type object name to trigger events or receive clues. You can pick up an object and you can go in directions. Okay. No, this is just basically repeating the help command. Good luck. Okay, so graphics was just pushed off the screen, I think, a little bit because of the tutorial. I'm hoping that'll disappear eventually. but it is useful for beginners. Okay, you're stood in a small clearing in what appears to be a dense wooded area. The ground is littered with the debris from your recent hot air balloon crash. You can see torn fabric and a basket. So like I say, examine everything. This one is so mangled you doubt it will ever fly again. Hard to redescribe. So I'm going to get the fabric, I'm sure that'll come in handy. Okay, yeah, basically the tutorial I had to actually type L. I actually had to type look, and that got rid of that tutorial part. So here we've completed a couple of puzzles. We've levered the cylinder off and we've worked out we needed to climb out. So what I'll do here is RAM save, that saves the game into RAM, so that if we die or something happens or I want to come back to it later, we can come back to it and do RAM load, and that will remember where we RAM saved, take you back to where we RAM saved. Okay, so we've got north and east. So if we go east, I won't actually draw a map, but ideally you should, just so you don't get lost. So if we do E for east, game trail. You're at the northern end of what appears to be a well-trodden game trail. You should take care on these trails as you don't know what kind of animal made it. Well, as it's called Dinosaur Island, maybe. Okay, so the vines are hanging there. Obviously we can't take them, we probably have to cut them down. So if I go west, again, just want to go north. Jungle, you're at the edge of a very dense and dark jungle. You don't recognise any of the foliage here, it all looks very ancient. You can go north or south. In the distance you hear the roar of a large beast. North. You are wandering in a dark jungle. It's easy to get lost in a place like this. Okay, we'll just type help. Just to get rid of that. We've already done that. Oh, okay. So, west. Clearing. You have found a small clearing in the dense jungle. Very little daylight makes its way into here. You can see a plane wreck. Okay, so let's have a look at the wreck. It looks like an old World War II Navy plane. It looks like the canopy may still be intact. You think the pilot may be trapped in there. You think the pilot may be trapped in there. So can we... He must have been in for a few years. All that's left of him are his bones. Judging by the damage to his skull, he sadly didn't survive the rough landing. It looks like his clothing is the only thing keeping him intact. So if we examine the clothing, okay, so we can hear a large beast roaring. Examine skull. Get pilot. Examine pilot again. Search clothing. Oh, nothing special, so plane wreck, enter wreck. Examine wreck. Examine bones. Will you feel the ground shake under your feet? Climb wreck. I'm not sure because the pilot now is not mentioned in the description, in the location description, and is not mentioned as an object. And that seems to be pointing to the clothing. Clothes. Pilot. Judging by the damage to his skull. Oh, I looked at that already. Okay, maybe not. Sometimes, as well as help, there is hint. Okay, in this instance there isn't, but the hint normally gives you something to do with the state you're in, or how far you've got in the adventure, rather than just generic help. So if we go east again, go north. So we're still in the jungle. Go east. You're in impenetrable forest. So let's have a look at the tree. So can we smash the tree? Get wood, get wood. We need something probably to make, make wood. Make firewood. No, okay. West. We'll go back south. We've been west to the pilot and the plane. South. Right, can we examine the foliage? No. Does it give us any more if we look at the jungle? Okay, so we do south. Examine debris. Just notice that it says the ground is littered with debris. So can we examine debris? Okay, east. Cut vines even though we haven't got anything. Yeah, so we need something sharp. Metal bar, maybe we can sharpen the metal bar somewhere. East. This is the foot of the volcano. This is one of the locations we saw in the code. So remember where the exit was up to the volcano. This is actually where we're going now, using that location link. Ah, so we've got top of a large volcano. You can't get any closer due to the way being blocked by the lava, flowing lava and intense heat. So can we get the quartz? Yeah. Quartz. Oh. Quartz. Flawless piece of quartz. Okay. So there's no other exit here. Maybe we can get over that. I'm not sure. But we can go down. Then if we go west, so we have to go south, get the clay. You are stood in what appears to be the southern end of a game trail, dense foliage on all sides. We can carry on going south or go to the east, so just examine foliage. So if we go east, there's an egg, dinosaur egg, in a raptor nest. I'm not sure we should take that. I think what I'll do is I will stop here and I'll reconvene probably later today, because it's making quite a long video looking at the code as well. But yeah, certainly I'll do a RAM save as well. Certainly a good adventure, lots of atmosphere, there's background stuff happening. You can hear the dinosaurs, at least you presume the dinosaurs. And even though the location descriptions are pretty small, really. They've got a lot of information in there for the environment that you're in. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you very soon. Alright, take care. See ya.